Hey everyone, thanks for hopping on this webinar this afternoon. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Jeremy Tatton with OneSource. Sitting next to me is Steve Cobb, our Chief Information Security Officer. And today we're going to talk about 3 proven strategies to prepare for a phishing attack. If you have any questions throughout, you can see the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to submit questions there. We'll try and reach them all by the end of this. If we don't, we'll follow up individually. Thank you. So here are 3 proven strategies to prepare for a phishing attack. First, Steve is going to go over current phishing trends him and his SOC team see on a daily basis. Each year, there are new threats, so we want to keep you up to date on what to expect and what's out there. Second, I'm going to touch on what your employees' reactions look like now and the process they go through to escalate their malicious messages to the IT team. I'm also going to provide some tips on altering that behavior for the better. Third, I'm going to explain what a good simulated messaging strategy is. Provide some templates for what an effective simulated campaign looks like, and that we use real-time scenarios in order to properly test your users. For now, though, I'm going to send it over to Steve Cobb, who will give you a little more information on who OneSource is. Thank you.
So before we get started, let's talk about who we are, who OneSource is. OneSource has been around for 25 years. We provide fully managed, white glove, IT managed services, telecom expense management, and cybersecurity services to the mid-market. And we work to save them money. We usually save an average of 20 to 30% on overall spend based on the solutions that we provide. We are a relationship-based partner. Our average client tenure is 12 years, and we have a 99% client retention rate. So our 3 lines of service across connectivity management, infrastructure management, and cybersecurity allow us to tailor partnerships specifically to our clients' needs, simplifying IT for them so they can focus on what they do best and meet their business objectives. We're passionate about cybersecurity because we like to take care of our clients. So our retention rate and our tenure for clients is true. Bears the fact that we do take care of our clients. We want to take care of them, and it's just a natural progression for us to land in the cybersecurity world and provide that for clients as well. And we've got a unique partnership with several vendors, Cofense being one of those. And the uniqueness of that is we offer a fully managed solution with Cofense. We're one of the few, if not only, MSSPs with them to do that. So we can take the Cofense solutions and manage them for clients who may not have the skill or the expertise or the resources in-house to do their security awareness, learning management, or post-delivery email security program, and handle that for them by extending our SOC and our security experts to those clients. We've got 24/7 SOCs located in Greenville, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Portland, Oregon. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of the current phishing trends that we see today. Obviously, ransomware is one that we see in the news a lot. Ransomware, most of the times, delivered via a phishing email attack, and malware in general. So as those emails hit users' inboxes and they open an attachment or click a link, all of a sudden a download happens, and then ransomware is spread throughout an organization. Familiar with ransomware, would encrypt files. There's a new twist to ransomware now, whereas if you don't pay the ransom, a lot of these threat actors are submitting the information out in the public domain. So it's a way around, if you don't pay them, kind of getting you back. So that's becoming more and more prevalent in the marketplace. Credential harvesting and credential phishing's on the rise as well. These are emails that land in your mailbox and look like a legitimate service that asks you to log into a web page, either look at an invoice, look at the delivery, open a document that's been shared with you, something like that. And when you put in your username and password, the threat actors then steal those username and password and use them to expose those credentials to other services. A lot of people reuse passwords, and so you can imagine if they can use those usernames and passwords to compromise email accounts, VPN servers, things like that, they can wreak havoc. And then one of the attacks that we see on the rise is business email compromise. And these we classify as emails that come in that may not have a link in them, they may not have an attachment, but they may come from a spoofed email address that looks very similar to the email address that your users may be familiar with doing business with. And they may ask to do things like pay an invoice, go buy 100 Amazon gift cards and send them to somewhere, wire money. All those we consider business email compromise. There was an article today where a host for the reality TV show Shark Tank was phished with a business email compromise email, and it cost her $400,000. So these are real attacks with real consequences. And when we talk about threats, we typically will talk about threats both outside the network and inside the network. So if we consider outside the network, those are the threats that are attacking your perimeter defenses, your firewalls, your proxies, those other things that you must make sure that you keep up to speed, maintained, and good working order. But then there's also threats that we consider inside the network. So if someone can pivot off of your outside threats and get internally, and by all accounts today, that's mainly done with phishing emails, then that threat lands on your internal network, and the threat actors can use that to either move around your network, deploy ransomware, or do other things that can impact business greatly. Now, there's a lot of vendors and a lot of companies that offer email security, and there may be secure gateways, or they may be email scanning. All those products are good products. There's really good products out there. However, there are none that are 100% effective. And so what we see to report it to our Security Operations Center is about 1 in 7 every email that's reported in to our SOC is actually a malicious email. So that means it's a real email that's landed in a user's inbox. They consider it suspicious and then submit it into our Security Operations Center, and we validate that it truly is malicious. So these are actual attacks that make it all the way to the delivery point. And secure email gateways, as I said, are not 100% effective. These are statistics we're showing here from a vendor that does mainly email security. And then over about a 9-month period into 2019, what you see here is these emails got past the secure email gateway. More than 55,000 credential harvesting attacks, more than 27,000 email malicious attachments, more than 4,000 business email compromise attacks. All those emails actually landed in a mailbox and then got past a secure email gateway. So if we talk about the next strategy now, I'm going to have Jeremy come on and talk about how we can help predict what an employee will do in a real situation, and maybe how we can modify their behavior.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate the insight on terms of the current phishing trends out there. Right now, the current process might be a little different for you, but what we see across the board, obviously this malicious email is going to be received, and there's 2 ways to go about it. The first one is obviously opening the email. You can see at the bottom, and then the malicious attack can start. Happens all the time. We see it all the time too. At the top, obviously the employee is going to analyze that email and then forward it to IT. The process may differ for your organization, but it's usually forwarding that email or grab an IT team member or SOC team member and ask him to check this out. Obviously that process works, but there's some stuff we can do to alter that process and improve it. As you can see here, we've got more of the improved process. Obviously the malicious email gets received again. If the employee opens that email and is part of the campaign for a security awareness solution, they're going to be redirected to some education. With that education, we want to curve that behavior immediately. Obviously not take away from production, but that immediate training helps your employees learn that behavior from the start. We don't want to tell them they did anything wrong. Obviously it's going to happen all the time, but if we can improve that behavior, then what you can see at the top is the ultimate goal that we're trying to get to. So obviously the analyzing is the same, but the report phishing might be the same process, but you can use some automation tools there through security awareness training solutions, and make that process a little more seamless. With the addition of a post-email delivery solution too, which Steve mentioned earlier, can help with that process in terms of triaging, analyzing for threats, looking for emails that might not even be malicious at all. But this builds up your employees' resiliency, really empowering them to report these phishing emails. And it also allows your IT team, to act on the malicious emails and check them out and be more proactive in their approach. I'm going to send it over to Steve here to talk about what susceptibility and resiliency is. Steve, do you want to take it away?
Sure. So in the industry today, you'll hear a lot of terms thrown around, mainly around susceptibility, meaning how susceptible my users are to click something that may be malicious. And while that's an important indicator, really shouldn't be the key indicator we focus on. In behavior modification, we really should be talking about what the resiliency of those end users are. And we measure resiliency by how many malicious emails or suspicious emails they report into a security operations center or to an IT team. When we can measure the effectiveness of our users in analyzing an email, we can essentially crowdsource our email security then, right? So we can have all of our users looking at emails and doing some initial analytics, determining if it's suspicious, and then reporting those and letting our experts on the back end determine whether they're malicious or not. When we can make our resiliency rate goes up, it overall usually means that our security fences have gone up.
Thank you, Steve. So I'm going to touch base on here on our go to this point here about the reporter button. Obviously, before I showed you what that process was, but what is a reporter button exactly? Most security awareness solutions have this. It's a type of forwarding emails. It's an inbox that's set up, to have employees forward these emails that are potentially malicious. It automates this workflow of forwarding an email or submitting a ticket to IT. As I mentioned earlier, your process might be a little bit different, but what I see all the time is, that manual process of forwarding and hoping it gets to an IT team member. This creates a place to push these emails for further triaging and analyzing of the threats. Has your IT or SOC team check for these emails. It also allows users to report emails via mobile email clients. So a lot of people are on the go now. A lot of people are using their phones. If you get an email on the go and you're not really sure about it, you can hit that report phishing button or any type of reporting button and, send it right to your SOC team for an immediate response in terms of the, the malicious nature of it. Obviously, this, again, empowers employees to be on the hunt for these emails. It removes that limbo. If I sent it, will I hear anything back? I'm not sure if that was malicious or not. Obviously, with that, we want to make sure that process is a little more set in stone. Now moving on to the post-email delivery solution. We mentioned it a few times here, but it really answers the question, what happens if a reported email to that SOC team is malicious? Basically, a few steps that you want to do is, isolate the high-risk messages and improve that response time, obviously for your IT team to have, the appropriate amount of time to get to that email. You want to identify these, analyze the false positives and the known threats out there, and then also notify users that they have identified threats. Basically, it gives you an idea of what happens if the malicious email is then reported, the process behind it. The highlight, the process should occur as best practice, and it creates a partnership that harnesses, relationship between the SOC and the IT team with the users that strengthens this phishing defense strategy, and also gives your user purpose, encouraging them to be on the hunt for these threats. If they're, they know that they reported an email and they got a pat on the back for it, they're going to continue to do that and build that resiliency rate over time. So our third point is that simulated messaging of the phishing strategy. We have a couple templates here that we want to talk about, but the first one's click only. There are three main types. The other two are data entry and added attachments. And we want to make sure this education is really focused on real-time scenarios. You can see these templates here. Obviously, both have click buttons. With that, you be redirected, obviously, to another training materials if you use a security awareness solution. You can see the one on the bottom, obviously masks the LinkedIn connection pretty heavily. But with that, we want to make sure these, real-time scenarios, users should be able to question and be more aware of what the process is when they see these. Obviously, these are templates for a positive security awareness solution. Steve harps on all the time, but we want to make sure users are more suspicious. We don't really want to try and trick them. Tricking the users really doesn't give them the real-time scenarios and really doesn't allow them to grow and actually, become, the first lines of defense that you see. The next one is data entry. You can see here, there's a link. Obviously, this part of the simulated phishing message strategy is for, secondary security awareness solution. With that, you'll be redirected to a page for credential information that you can add in. Obviously, with this, it's a real-time scenario. What Steve mentioned earlier in those current phishing trends, we're seeing that credential harvesting happening all the time. So you can see here is a good example of what we really recommend is in terms of a good data entry template. Moving forward, the next one and the last one is attachments, the main three. You can see here, these are some templates that we'd recommend. Obviously, they come included with an added attachment, and you want to make sure these are real-life scenarios. All the emails they get through, and you need to be able to, reproduce that to your users. You want to make sure that they're seeing these real-time threats and what are out there currently. So we have a breakdown here, just what we think an effective solution is. Obviously, it ranges all over the board, but a really effective one, has a good amount of templates with full customizations. Usually, pre-built templates makes it a little bit easier to send out to users. The templates are going to be built with expertise, similar to what the threats are out there currently. The next point is, some stuff with some quizzes, educational videos, and games. That for the training materials. You want to make them sure they're most interactive, but doesn't disrupt productivity, right? You want to make sure that if your user does click on it, there's a quick training video, and then they're back to their productivity for the day. Curbing the behavior immediately, obviously, is the best way to have them come back and, do training, and doing training on a different day. It kind of, immediately shows them, hey, this is what you should be doing, and be on the lookout for these emails. Next one, obviously, is good scheduling. Effective scheduling to be sent out in waves. You can throttle those emails, and you can help generate more of an organic reaction with your employees. If you throttle them, then your employees and groups won't be able to see them at the same time, and you generate a unique reaction that a user can have. Segmenting them in different departments makes them, emails more effective. You want to target, someone in accounting and HR. It might be in a different email each time. And this is accomplished through sending out bespoke templates that are meant for each department, not just for everyone in your organization. We recommend also a few add-ons, if possible. A full LMS, focused on cybersecurity, helps, pretty much all avenues. This training can include, proper password tactics and, what to do when an email actually is compromised, and potentially, proper web surfing behavior. All of that is, good best practices to start showing your employees over time. Not just phishing training too is what we see recommended for that. Lastly here, a post-email delivery process to help understand phishing better. Lean on your IT team to focus on what to do with these possible threats, and also helps build the relationship between your IT team and your users, strengthen that relationship. And if the intelligence of the solution may be high enough, you can even block these emails from coming in, look for similar characteristics and what they are, and then also pull them from all inboxes at once. Some security awareness solutions and post-email delivery solutions out there can do this. We here at OneSource actually choose Cofense in their solutions because they actually meet all the requirements we see as an effective solution. PhishMe actually checks all the boxes for security awareness training, and with the addition of a full, cybersecurity-focused LMS and post-email delivery solution, we at OneSource here recommend, that Cofense portfolio to our clients. That unique partnership that Steve touched on earlier really allows us to fully manage those solutions for our clients, and also extends our expertise from us, our security team, and our security experts to those clients. Once again, just recapping these 3 proven strategies which we touched on today. Obviously, Steve went over the current phishing trends. I went over in a little detail in terms of predicting your employees and then maybe altering that process in real attacks. And then also touched on a little bit of the simulated phishing messaging strategy, what we look for in terms of the best templates out there, and what we really encourage our clients over time to use. Now I'm going to open up to some Q&A. Steve and I are accepting some questions. We've already got some here. So.
Yep. We've got some questions. Here's the first question. Many times if one employee gets a phishing email, there's a good chance other employees have gotten the same email. Do you have a process to determine who else may have received the phishing email? I'll take that one, Jeremy.
No problem.
So for our SOC, we do have processes there. A lot of those are built around, as Jeremy mentioned, our post-email delivery security system or tools. And then also the secure email gateway. So depending on what you have in place, and also what your email environment may be. So in the typical today's environments, Office 365, the G Suite, there are a lot of different tools there where you can use PowerShell or Python to perform some queries. Once you know there's a malicious email, going and searching through all inboxes to see if anybody else has received that. Even taking it to the next step, as Jeremy mentioned, our tools will allow us to reach into those mailboxes and actually pull that mail out from a user's mailbox without them knowing, so that they are not a victim of that email. That, as you can imagine, that process has to happen pretty quickly. So we always, once again, kind of reinforces the idea here that is, if we can get our end users to identify and be suspicious of emails quickly and report those in, then we can take proactive measures there as fast as possible to make sure maybe the one person who reported it is somebody we feel real confident in and always reported them. The next person who gets that email may not be as security aware, and they may click on that link. If we can stop that second user from getting it, obviously we've helped defend our organization and made the experience better for the business overall. So great question. Here's the next question. Nearly everyone has one or more personal email addresses, and if a malicious email is opened from a private email address, for example, while at work on the company network, what can be done with this threat? I'll take that one as well. So, sure. So, yeah, some of this comes down to policy. So what your business policies are, allowing users to have, for instance, multiple email addresses, let's say in Outlook, or even opening webmail from the office. Many organizations will block that. Some organizations will allow that. And if you do allow that, then you really got to have a multifaceted security approach. So You can't obviously protect against all personal or private email addresses that users may have outside of their business org, but you can protect the company network and the company endpoints that they're browsing to that website or opening that email on. And so having those multi-layer security phases will overall make you more mature. There's always gaps and ways that threat actors can kind of wiggle their way into networks. We always talk to our clients about about their security maturity and the products and services they can put in place to try to cover all those gaps as much as possible. So not just email, which is the main delivery point today, but then also network and endpoint security. So all three of those pieces working together can help you if you get into the case where somebody gets a malicious email from a private email address and it lands on a corporate endpoint or on a corporate network. Great questions. Let's see, any other questions? Here's another question that we got in. Why do I need a fully managed security awareness solution when I can probably manage this myself? So if you have the resources, the time, the knowledge to manage the security awareness solution internally, by all means, that's an effective solution, and we would point any of our clients who have that capability internally to do that. We can assist clients who may not have those resources, they may not have that skill set, they may not have that knowledge base to not only schedule the campaigns and choose what we see in the marketplace that's most representative, but also to do the reporting and analytics, talk about that resiliency number that we mentioned before, and then also provide some post-email delivery solutions if needed for those clients. So that's the unique partnership OneSource has with Cofense. We can provide and overlay those services on, even to the point that our security operations centers can be involved when other threats may raise their head and a client just needs maybe a second set of eyes on more information. Let's see. All right, so we've got another question here. Yep, I got it. In a company where many users have a mobile device, we hear some users state they think they're receiving phishing text messages on company phones. How do you recommend handling these? So the idea of smishing, what's called SMS phishing, is definitely on the rise, and that's very difficult to control and manage. There's a couple of options that you have there and a couple of options we offer to clients. One of them is mobile device management. So once again, if you can cover that device, that mobile device, with policies and also protection, then even if a client does execute something there when malicious things are downloaded or they click a link from a mobile device, we potentially and can contain that or stop the impact of such of an event. But another great avenue for this is security awareness training. So some of the security awareness, I'll mention that Cofense has this, several other vendors have this as well, but they've got specific security awareness for end users on smishing. So things like when a delivery text is sent to you saying your package has been delivered, click this link in order to claim your package, just having your users aware of those things, and there's still indicators they can look at to determine, have I ever gotten this a text from this email before? Have I ordered a package lately? Is this something I should be receiving? Can make them suspicious of those things. And once again, that overall crowdsourcing your security from your users is the best way to approach that. Once you can modify their behavior to become more suspicious on those things, ultimately they get reported into security operations or the IT team, who can then take the proper steps from there, whether that's blocking those phone numbers with carriers or implementing some other things in their mobile device management policies to take care of those issues. Other question. Let's see, I have another one here. Jeremy, I'm going to let you answer this one. What do you think is more effective, real-time training or on-demand training?
Yeah, we actually, recommend the real-time training aspect. Once I mentioned a few times in this webinar here, really curbing that behavior immediately when that person is most susceptible and they're really seeing that email come in really creates good and healthy habits. Some on-demand training can really feel like, you're really being thrown into some training. Do this for an hour, do this for an hour a week for the next month. We really want to make sure it's effective in terms of productivity, but also the messaging is immediate. really, building up that resiliency when they see that, to curb that behavior so they're reporting these emails immediately. We see that more effectively with that real-time training.
Yep, good. I think that's bears itself out in the marketplace for sure. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Once again, we do thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time here. I'm going to let Jeremy wrap us up.
Yeah, once again, thank you so much for taking the time, obviously, for going over our top phishing strategies today. We're going to follow up with an email overview of the webinar, and would like to offer you a free PhishMe demonstration to see if the solution might align with your needs of your organization. Thank you so much again. Have a great day.